I think you raise a very interesting point, Mr. Jordan, Chairman Jordan, wanting to make sure that a warrant is obtained to search Americans' data. So I recognize we're here focused on the Cloud Act, and it's an important issue. I don't dispute that. But in the times we're in, this seems quaint and intellectual, academic discussion. And in reality, what we're dealing with is an administration, current administration, that is trying to categorize, gather, and streamline data of Americans given with access by a private company. Now, let me explain a little bit, and I want to ask some questions. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of Palantir, which is a large data company, has a lot of connections to Elon Musk, to Doge. And in March, Donald Trump issued an executive order that would increase the sharing of all unclassified data between and among federal agencies. It directed agency heads to authorize and facilitate both the intra and interagency sharing and consolidation of unclassified agency records. Now, a New York Times report in May outlined in great detail how the president has employed Palantir to carry out this executive order, essentially to merge all data from all different executive branch agencies into one single database. Now, it's unclear who would control that database, who would have access to it, what searches would be done, and there seem to be no guardrails about that. Another New York Times article says that the administration, that this database would have 314 different points of data about every American. Literally every American, 314 various categories of data will be consolidated into one database by a private company, Palantir. Now, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle often express concern about government surveillance, about ensuring that we get search warrants in the context of 702, which is a small universe of already obtained information that we know are communications with people of interest from of foreign nationalities. Here, we just have every American's data put into one database with no guidelines, no restrictions. We don't know what Palantir is doing. We don't know what Doge is doing. We don't know what Elon Musk is doing. It essentially creates a one-stop shop for all Americans' data, which, as we're talking about cybersecurity, I'm sure you all agree that creates a tremendous cybersecurity risk if China or Russia were to hack.
In March, President Trump signed an order pushing federal agencies to share vast amounts of personal data, sparking fears of a massive centralized surveillance database. And while he stayed mostly quiet on the subject publicly, his team has been quietly laying the groundwork, partnering heavily with Palantir, a data company with deep ties to government intelligence and law enforcement. At first, I was drawn into looking into Palantir because of their name, because it's from Lord of the Rings. But the more I dug, the more unsettled I became. Palantir has been behind some of the scariest government moves in history. Since Trump took office, Palantir has secured over $113 million in federal contracts, as well as a staggering $795 million deal with the Pentagon. They're also in talks to bring their technology into the Social Security Administration and the IRS. So what exactly is Palantir? How did a company named after Tolkien's mystical seeing stones become central to a plan that could reshape American privacy and civil liberties? And most importantly, why? And why should you care? Let's go down the Palantir rabbit hole. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I'm Evie, and we do 5 videos a week on whatever is happening in the world. Don't miss out on this red hot information, okay? If you subscribe, you will have good luck this week. Last week, the New York Times dropped a bombshell. The Trump administration's partnership with Palantir could lead to a nationwide database of personal information, handing the president unprecedented surveillance power. This isn't just about national security. It's about control. We're in the dystopia. We're in it. How did we get here? To understand, we need to look at the origins of Palantir, a company founded in the early 2000s by right-wing billionaire and ham sandwich come to life, Peter Thiel. He was joined by venture capitalists and entrepreneurs, Joe Lonsdale, Stephen Cohen, and Alex Karp, who currently serves as the company's CEO. Peter chose the name Palantir after the crystal balls used on Lord of the Rings. You know when Gandalf shows up to have a chat with his bro Saruman and he's like, "Oh, yeah, hey, Gandalf, I've been talking to Sauron with these orbs." And Gandalf's like, what the hell? In that scene, Gandalf says,
"They are not all accounted for. The lost seeing stones. We do not know who else may be watching."
So, it's an interesting name for a company being accused of enabling mass surveillance. Peter Thiel himself is an important part of the puzzle here. He's a Silicon Valley billionaire, conservative kingmaker, and co-founder of PayPal. He once ousted Elon Musk as PayPal CEO and took the role for himself in 2000. In 2004, he made a legendary move by investing $500,000 in Facebook, a stake that grew to over $1 billion. In my corner of the world, he's famous for controversially being awarded New Zealand citizenship in 2011 after only spending 12 days here. It's a political move by a previous government which is still brought into question now. Honestly, let me know if you want the deets on this. Bunch of billionaires who came down here, spent some money, we let them stay. I'm happy to make a video on it if you are interested. Anyway, Peter said Palantir was a mission-oriented company which could apply software similar to PayPal's fraud recognition systems to reduce terrorism while preserving civil liberties. Remember that. Lock that away somewhere. In 2004, Peter handed the reins over to Alex Karp, his former Stanford classmate with a PhD in neoclassical social theory. And while the company initially struggled to find investors, 2 people stepped up with the cash: Peter himself and the CIA. So why did the CIA invest in this obscure tech startup? Because Palantir isn't just about crunching numbers. It's about making sense of chaos, turning raw data into tools of power. The company essentially turns swamps of data into clear visuals like maps, histograms, and link charts. In just days, its forward-deployed engineers can integrate and analyze a customer's data, tackling issues from terrorism to disaster response and human trafficking. Palantir has become a top choice for analyzing massive data sets in intelligence and law enforcement. They offer sleek software and on-site coders who tailor solutions to each client. And the more data that you give them, the more they can tell you. And whether you knew it or not, Palantir's technology has quietly played a pivotal role in shaping some of the most significant global events since its inception. In the 2000s, US Marines used their technology for forensic analysis of roadside bombs in Afghanistan. In 2011, the hacker collective Anonymous exposed Palantir employees for their involvement in a proposed disinformation campaign aimed at discrediting WikiLeaks and tarnishing its supporters' reputations. Their technology allowed the IDF to use AI in its war effort. At least one Palantir employee played a role in assisting Cambridge Analytica in collecting Facebook data later utilized by the Trump campaign during the 2016 election. Palantir technology was even used to track and kill Osama bin Laden, although the company remains a bit tight-lipped on that one. In the book The Finish, author Mark Bowden writes that Palantir's software actually deserves the popular designation killer app. But CEO Alex Karp doesn't seem like a killer. Unlike most Silicon Valley leaders, Karp supported President Biden with a hefty donation, and he supported Kamala Harris over Trump in 2024. He's known to be an odd guy who prefers solitude, and he's been described as unable to hide his ADHD. Relatable. People also describe him as charming and unique. Also relatable. He rocks the old school classic Silicon Valley look, jeans and a t-shirt. In a New York Times piece that combined multiple interviews with him, he said that without Palantir, you would have had massive terror attacks in Europe already, like October 7 style. And those attacks, he believed, would have propelled the far right to power. So how has he ended up working so heavily with the Trump administration then? He claims he's progressive, that he doesn't want the far right in power, and yet here he is, at the center of a storm created by his own company's ties to some of the most dangerous and powerful governments on earth. Part of the answer lies in his ideology. He is deeply committed to a vision of Western dominance, one where technology secures America's place as a global leader. Palantir does not do business with China, Russia, or any countries that are opposed to the West. Alex says, we have a consistently pro-Western view that the West has a superior way of living and organizing itself, especially if we live up to our aspirations. It's interesting how radical that is, considering it's not, in my view, that radical. He added, I'm not going to apologize for defending the US government on the border, defending the special ops, bringing the people home. I'm not apologizing for giving our product to Ukraine or Israel or lots of other places. Peter Thiel, though, who remains chairman and a major shareholder of Palantir, is an open Trump supporter. In 2016, some Democrats regarded Palantir as spooky and untrustworthy because of this, and in 2019, protests sprung up about the company's work at the US border, namely tracking undocumented migrants for deportation. That same year, more than 200 Palantir employees wrote to CARB, voicing concerns about the company's software being used by ICE. An internal campaign urged him to donate profits from a $49 million ICE contract to charity, but it failed. This resistance from within Palantir highlights the tension between the company's actions and its leadership's ideology. A key part of understanding Alex Karp's decisions, particularly in his work with the Trump administration, again lies in his worldview. Him and Trump have something in common: paranoia. While I've been looking into this dude and this company, I've noticed a running theme. Karp appears driven by a deeply ingrained sense of paranoia, a belief that America is on the brink of a fight for its liberties, with the West constantly under threat. He said,
the power of Isengard is at your command, Sauron, Lord of the Earth. Asgard's warrior, build me worthy of Mordor. What orders from Mordor, my lord? What does the Eye command? We have work to do. The trees are strong, my lord. Their roots go deep. Rip them all down.
Shalom. All right, before I get started, we give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawahshi, Yahawahshi, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kadash. It's the brother Abakala Walam, here with another hopeful edifying lesson to the elect body of Yahawahshi, Yahawahshi. At the beginning, you seen, it was a pretty little lengthy clip that I put together, talking about this, data network called, Palantir Database Surveillance Network that's been put together by Trump, right? And I'm gonna just read this here, and it's basically it goes into how they got it from the name anyway from the movie The Lord of the Rings, right? This is a fair use, the Fair Use Act, This is for educational purposes. I don't own the rights to any of those clips, but this database surveillance network that was put together and formed under the Trump administration called Palantir, which they got the name from the Lord of the Rings, from that crystal ball. Because that's what Esau is. He's a sorcerer. He's a wizard. You know, witchcraft. That's what it says in Babylon, the mistress of witchcraft, and they talked about that in you know, Isaiah chapter 47, right? The Babylon is that mistress of witchcraft. Also, it talks about it in Revelation. And that crystal ball let them see whatever they needs to see, right? And what they had at the end, they had like some gremlins or some minions doing the bidding of whoever this guy was, and with the long hair. I don't watch the Lord of the Rings. I'm not into that. The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, all that sorcery crap movies, and I've never been big on that. But they was more or less, you can see the representation of the ice. He said, "What shall we do? What does the ball command us to do or tell us to do or whatever?" He said, uproot the trees." And basically, that could go into what this devil trying to do with the word. More or less, he's trying to uproot the elect through his acts, right? More or less, the children of Israel. He said the roots are the roots are deep or something like that. It says bring the trees down. So but that was symbolic biblically anyway. And I'm gonna just read this, right? It says, and just last week we learned that Palantir, a Silicon Valley company known for building surveillance tools, is being hired to build AI-powered profiles on every American using the data those collected. It's hard to overstate how dangerous this is. Right in the clip, it tells you how deep and this may come, and more or less that the guy, what's his name? This guy here, the CEO, Alex Corp, whatever, he was a big funder of the Democratic Party, but now he's with the Republican Party, right? With this under Trump. And also there was one of the co-founders or investors, maybe a heavy investor in it. He was a supporter of Trump. So that lets you people know that, these in the background, these politicians, they are not at odds at one another, but in the public's eye, these Democrats and Republicans, they seem like they're at odds to separate the people, to keep you divided, keep you distracted on what's really going on. But behind the scenes, these politicians, Republican and Democrats, they are not against one another, and more or less they're controlled by the elites of Esau, the world bankers, central banking families, for example. They control what's going on behind the scenes. And also, they were saying, if it wasn't in the clip that I put together, there was a clip I seen before. They were saying how Trump was supposed to be against the deep state, the police state, but seemingly he's for it, because that's what this is. This um Palantir database surveillance is a more or less is goes along with the police state or the deep state that he's supposed to be opposing, right? So that's the plan of the elites. The plan of the elites is to go forth with this enterprise, right? And what the enterprise is, the one world government, new world order, which is You can see that on the back of your $1 bill, for example. North Order Seclorum, right? The new one world government, new world order. So that's a part of the plans of the elite, the their enterprise, which I think Job tells about. Let me see. I'm gonna put this words in the book of Job. Job 5 and 12. It said he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You know, that enterprise is the new world order, right? So these, like I said, this is the plans of the elites, and it's going to go forward. The Democrats will go about it one way, and the Republicans will go about it another. You know, but it doesn't matter who's in office. You know, they're gonna go forward with the plans of the elites of Edom, right? In this police state, surveillance, you know, technocracy, uh, surveillance, cameras everywhere, digital system, you know, computers, robots, AI, merging man with machine. All that is part of the enterprise of the elites. And these Democrat parties and Republican parties, they're just going about it at different ways. So this is, you know, an idea that the elites are trying to bring forth, like the New World Order. And going back to the mistress of witchcraft on Isaiah 47, because basically that's what Babylon is. Isaiah chapter 47, right? I'm going to start Isaiah 40. Let me see. Isaiah 47 and verse 1, it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." You know, and that guy, what's his name? Alex Karp. He was saying that he's afraid that America will be something to the effect of how did she say it? Basically, they was going to lose their status of a dominance in the world, right? And he's not supporting any adversary of America like China and Russia with this technology, right? And that technology is part of their their mysteries of the mystery of iniquity, and the signs and the great signs and wonders is through its technology, AI, you know, and this technology, that's those signs and wonders and powers on the left hand side, right? And he was saying that later go, if you keep watching the video, he was saying that he's afraid that America is basically not putting their adversaries at making them uneasy, basically giving them reason to fear America, you know, because more or less America, which is Babylon the Great, is in a fallen state, and all these other nations, by the power of Yahawah is exposing Esau, and then it also says that I made thee small among the heathen and despised among men, right? And there's another verse that says so what I that Yeah, the pride of thine heart, right? Obadiah 1 and verse 2, it says, Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, and behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised, right? And the pride of thine heart had deceived thee, right? Thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground, right? So that's how that guy was feeling, basically, that he had to keep these other nations afraid of them. And basically, Babylon's in a fallen state. The Lord is exposing this devil to all these other nations. The skirt has been lifted, right? And these nations are despising America. And also, he says, what's that verse that that the heathen what is it? Salakia that he made what is it? Beat your plowshares and the plowshares, Salakia, pruning hooks. Must not be out of I don't know, Salakia. That must be spelled in. I gotta be spelled out. Pruning. Salakia. What is it? Oh, let the weak sound strong, right? Yeah, Job 3 and 10. Joel 3 and 10. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong, right? So he was basically saying this guy is saying that their adversaries are not afraid of America because they're in a downwards. They're on a decline. You know, America is not that country it once was. You know, some decades back. You know, like 50 years ago or more or less. They're not that they're not that dominant country that they was at one time, right? So this guy said he's not working with any adversary like Russia or China, for example. He's not giving the technology to them. And he said their adversaries are not afraid of them, basically, because the Lord is bringing Esau down. That's his power structure, you know, his wisdom, you know, he's being exposed. And that's basically the state that Esau in, right? And This article, so like I'm all over the place right now for whatever reason. It says this article from the week.com. It says Trump may team with a tech company to create a database of Americans, right? So basically, he's with the deep state. This whatever he was, the deep state, the police state, the New World Order. He's going about it a different way, right? And they're using these illegal immigrants to justify them doing what they're doing, right? Because that's how this devil do. He's gonna uh, bring some legitimate reason of his actions, right? Basically, that's what he's doing. He's trying to legitimize his actions. So he's trying to use illegal immigrants, as the reason, right? So I don't think I need to read this because there was enough spoken in the video. Because this article is not long anyway, and that's basically what he's trying to do, bring about this new world order, police state, through this Palantir company, which is a theme or was created off the Lord of the Rings crystal ball that they see, right? Because this is what this place is. Is the place of witchcraft and sorcery. Now going back to Isaiah 47, and chapter in verse 1, 47, starting at verse 1, it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate," right? It says, verse 2, "Take the millstone and grind meal, uncover thy locks and make thy leg, Salakia, and make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers," right? So like I was saying, the Lord had to expose this devil on a lot of levels, right? Being despised among these heathens. He's being brought low. These other nations, these other heathen nations are more or less equivalent in technological and military stance. They can get the same technology and military weapons as Esau. It says, verse 3, it says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man," right? So that's how the Lord is coming. It's not coming like he was the first time. He's coming in his all-powerful and extraterrestrial form, right? It says, "As for our Redeemer, the Lord Yahawah of hosts is his name. The Holy One the Holy One of Israel." It says, "Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms," right? Lady Liberty, right? "I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke," right? Oppression. That yoke is they've been very oppressive to the children of Israel, these Edomites, right? It says, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thine heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwelleth carelessly, that saith in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children, widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, right? And for the great abundance of thine enchantments, right? So that's what this place is known for, the land of the Chaldeans. Chaldeans are wizards and warlocks, right? And like I said, we could just go into this word Chaldean, basically like they got that that name for the company, Palantir, from the Lord of the Rings, because this is the land of the Chaldeans. Let's see. I had to Google search. Uh, let's see. So like it's Chaldeans uh, and witchcraft. It says the ancient Chaldeans were known for their expertise in magic, witchcraft, and dream interpretation. Right. So they were known for being experts in magic and witchcraft. That's why the Lord, what it says, the lady, because the multitude of thy sorceries and abundance of thy enchantments, right? So like that company that they created, that database is more or less the Lord of the Ring, um, Palantir. That was the name of that crystal ball that they look into in that movie, and they can see things, right? They can see things, and basically the collection of all these people, all the American citizens' information, they got it uh, uh, collected. Everybody's information is collected on this one database system that's controlled by this Palantir surveillance network. That is a crystal ball where they can find out information about anything. They can see whatever they want to see about you, basically, through the collection of your data. And they're using different federal agencies like the Social Security Agency and the IRS to find out people information, find out sensitive information about people, private information, which is basically a violation of your privacy, right? So that's another thing that America, your rights are being taken away gradually in the efforts of national security, right? So basically, that's what this place is. It's a it's a land of witchcraft and sorcery. And I'm gonna just read a little bit. I'm just continue reading this or read it back over. Right, what about the Chaldeans? It says the ancient Chaldeans were known for their expertise in magic, witchcraft, and dream interpretation. They were often associated with astrology, and their name became synonymous with magicians. With magician, right? Synonymous. Chaldeans, as a group, were also responsible for conquering the Assyrian Empire, and establishing a new role near in the Near East. So they were sorcerers. They're synonymous with magicians, right? Like you see in Lord of the Rings, and that's a movie of wizards and sorcerers. That's what the Lord of the Rings is. A movie about sorcery. Quoting that they got that name from that crystal ball in that movie. And that guy, whatever his name is, Alex Karp or whatever, that's his name. He said they're into it. These Edomites, they're into sorcery and witchcraft. They're into that. This is the land of, this is Babylon, the land of the Chaldeans. Showing you the just showing you the connection, right? I'm gonna read verse 9 again. Isaiah 47 and verse 9 says, "But these two things shall come upon thee in a moment, and one day the loss of children and widowhood, and they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, None seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me," right? Same thing you're talking about in Obadiah, right? About Edom, Esau, Edom. Thy heart had deceived thee, right? Thy wisdom and their knowledge had perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. They think they're the one, they're the top one, just like this guy was saying. Our adversaries don't fear us. They supposed to fear us day and night. They're supposed to fear us when they sleep. They're supposed to fear us when they wake up, but more or less that's what he was going into. But he's saying that these nations don't fear us like they supposed to. That's them trusting in thy wisdom and knowledge, and you know, it had perverted them, and what it says in Obadiah, the pride of thy heart, right? Which I'm gonna just read from the top of Obadiah. Top of Obadiah, it says the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God, Yahawah Yahawahshi, concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahawah. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwelleth in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in thine heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? That's how they think that who's gonna take me out of my spot, right? So that pride, we also in that month, June, it had to deceive them. The Lord also said, pride, what it says, pride come before a fall or something like that, right? Proverbs 16 and 18 says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. And Babylon is in that state of what? Fall. It's in a fallen state. That's why this place is known to be a prideful place, right? Esau is a prideful nation. These Edomites are proud, man, right? They think they're above anybody. They think they're above everybody. They got their nose up at everybody. You know, like the scripture said, for it also says, he's his enemy. He puffeth at them, right? Psalms 10 and 5. Psalms 10 and 4, it says, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them, right? Snare, right? Read that verse 5 out of the Amplified version. It says, his ways are, talking about the Lord, right? I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, the wicked in its haughtiness of his, in the haughtiness of his face will not seek nor inquire for him. All his thoughts are, there is no God, so there is no accountability or punishment. His ways prosper at all times. Your judgment, Yahawah, are on high out of his sight, so he never thinks about them. As for all his enemies, he snares at them, right? This word snare. So he puffers at them because he's prideful, right? This word snare, a contemptuous or mocking smile, remark, or tone, right? Insults, scoff, mockery. So, that's the mindset and attitude of Esau. He be having these smart remarks and contemptuous, showing contempt or scornful about whoever's trying to oppose him, right? Or whoever he's trying to oppose, basically. He's act arrogant, right? Having or revealing an extreme sense of one's own importance or ability, right? He's arrogant. That's how the devil acts. That's his mannerism, you know. So that's the wicked. That's these Edomites. That's what they do. So basically, not veering off the subject. I'm not trying to veer off the subject. That basically, I'm tying in that surveillance, that data collection surveillance agency, which is called uh, Palantir, which is Palantir, which they got it from the Lord of the Rings, that crystal ball. That is Babylon the Great, the land of the Chaldeans, which have operate in witchcraft and sorcery. That's why these Edomites, this technology is a form of witchcraft. That's these Second Thessalonians, and that should be maybe that's how I'm gonna end it. Second Thessalonians, verse 2, might be 7 or something. Second Thessalonians, verse 2 and verse 7, it says, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, right? So part of the working of Satan is all knowing. He knows everything about you. He's playing he's in his mind or in his heart, like the scripture said, he thinks he's the most high. So he's collecting information on whoever you want to collect it through all these powers and signs and lying wonders through his technology, right? Artificial intelligence. You got AI collecting data on people and using on different federal agencies to get this type of data, so he can know all about you. Single you out, categorize you, and deem people who how he see fit. He's going to deem you a this. He's going to categorize you whatever he wants to categorize you, right? He's trying to play the Most High through all this, through these power, signs, and lying wonders, and this artificial intelligence, this technology. is that these power signs and lying wonders, and it's basically witchcraft and sorcery, right? So that's how this devil moves, sorcery and witchcraft, right? And this Palantir data surveillance that they got from the Lord of the Rings shows you that this is Babylon the Great, the land of the Chaldeans, which is full of witchcraft and sorcery. So I'm gonna go and end it off there. I hope it's edifying to the elect. No mistake, call Yahawah Ba'Shem, Yahawahshi Ba'Shem Rakakadash. Shalom to the next time, Yahweh Rathazah, which means Lord willing. And Wa Abba Abba.